Jason. I hope you're all doing very well. I have just finished a project that I've been working on for about a week. I made a new cage for my Brazilian rainbow boa females, Valentine and Venus. I'm very, very, very happy with the way it turned out, and I hope that you think the cage is beautiful. I know that they're going to love it. I'm about to introduce them to it. I'm going to film that too. When I built my Burmese cage, I had so many comments on people asking me how I did it. I didn't think that you guys would really enjoy a cage building video, but I did decide to film bits and pieces of the design process and how I constructed the cage in case you want to make something similar for your reptile. So I'm going to show the finished project first with the snakes getting introduced to it, and then you can stop watching if you're not interested in how I made the cage. But we'll look at the cage. We're going to bring out Valentine and Venus. Ah, hello there, babies. This is Venus. She's getting to be a pretty good sized girl. And this is Valentine. And she's really deep in shed right now. She's really bluish toned. She's usually pretty red in color. But they were definitely needing a new cage, and I think they're going to be very excited. Hello there, little Venus. How you doing, baby? Hello, Miss Valentine. Too bad you won't be able to see your new home since you're in shed. Uh-huh. Well, Venus will tell you all about it. Yes, you're going to go in there now, but I know you can't see very well with the foggy eyes. Foggy eyeballs? Okay. We won't keep you waiting. Let's go check out your cage. Let's go look at it. Okay, here's the cage. There's going to be a little bit more of an explanation if you watch the put it together part of the video. That'll tell you all about how to keep the doors secure with the little sliding door lock and everything. This is their cage. They've got a hot bowl in there, little plants and eco-earth. Under this side of the cage is an 18-inch ceramic tile set into plywood, but underneath the ceramic tile is exposed. I'll show you that super quick. And it has a heat pad on it, but that tape is on actually the tile. It has the little spacer there, and there's a gap in the back. I put that in there intentionally so there'd be airflow, so the heat pad would not get too hot. But that's enough about the cage. We'll go into more detail about that later. And these lovely ladies are going to check out their new home. Here you go. Go on. No, you can't climb up my arm. Go to your new cage. Yes. Venus is like, hell yeah, I'll go. She's like, I'm checking out my crib. We're going right into her little box. She's like, oh, this is just like the same one I already had. The rest of the cage is all upgrades, sweetheart. There you go. She can't see. She's like, will you just steer me in the right direction? Well, they're definitely in the hiding mood right now. I can certainly understand that with Valentine going into shed. But that is their cage, and I am very excited about it. It's a nice little water bowl. They'll be out exploring in a little bit, I'm sure. You can see just a little bit of the tile there where she moved the eco-earth. I like eco-earth because it really helps with humidity. I usually just spray the warm side down about every other day, and it boosts the humidity right up. Look, she's almost bluish. Venus is back there kind of behind the hide box, curling up. Well, Valentine is in the hide box now, and Venus has left the hide box, and she's crawled up into the bush. It's kind of hard to see because she's on the dark end of the cage, but she's right in there. Yeah, ground feels real good now. Nice and toasty right there. And everywhere else, it just feels like room temperature. Which is good because Brazilian rainbow boas don't like a lot of heat. They don't need to be up in the upper 80s like a lot of snakes. The 82 to 84 is what my rainbow boas seem to like the most. I'd like to dedicate this video to Carla, One Soft Kiss, because she's always helping people out and giving people ideas on how to create better environments for their snakes and reptiles. So this is definitely dedicated to you, and I am inspired by you. I love you to pieces, Carla. Okay, so there's quite a bit of mess in my reptile room right now. And I've actually been working on this in the garage. I've not been cutting the boards or doing any of the vinyl attaching in the reptile room. Let me go ahead and tell you that. It's not wise to cut the boards or attach vinyl to the boards in the room where your animals are. I just brought these in here because the light is better and you could see them. I've actually been working in the garage, which is right through this door. And there, but it's kind of dark, so you can't really see much. But back to this. This is going to be a cage, of course. And it's going to be for my Brazilian rainbow boa females, Valentine and Venus. And those two boards back there have the vinyl attached to them already. And that's going to be the inside walls. I'll probably paint the outside walls. But my friend Carla gave me the idea to use vinyl. Thank you very much, by the way. I went to Home Depot and I found a roll of vinyl. It was like a 50-foot roll, and it's pretty thick. You can't really tear it or anything, and you can cut it with a razor blade or good scissors. But it's very durable. It's pretty thick, and of course, against the wood, as long as you seal the joints with silicone like I'm going to do, it's going to be waterproof, and it'll be perfect for a Brazilian rainbow boa cage. You probably thought when you saw this was going to be the top of the cage because there's a hole cut out in it. However, it is not the top of the cage. And in fact, it's the very bottom of the cage. Now this piece of wood is 4 feet long and 20 inches wide. That's how big the cage is going to be. I want to do 4 feet by 2 foot, but the roll of vinyl come in 20 inch, so that's what we went with. That way I didn't have to make an extra little strip. But the hole is cut out because I wanted to give them belly heat. And it's not a very good idea to put flex wood on wood, although I know some people do it, and I just hope that they never have an issue with it. A lot of people say they don't, but then again, I've read some people that said they wish they didn't because cage caught on fire, burned up, malfunctioned, anything. I've got too many animals in this room to take a chance on that. So, this hole has been cut out. But you need to look very closely. My partner did most of this hole work here. But this piece of plywood is 1/2 inch thick. Okay? And what we did is I bought an 18-inch tile. And the heat pad is actually going to go on the bottom of the tile, which will be, underneath the cage. And it won't, the heat pad will be no contact with the wood. It'll just be in contact with the stone. And that will keep it more, I guess, fire resistant, fireproof. We don't want to say fireproof really, because nothing ever is completely fireproof, but it'll be less likely to catch on fire. And when the cage is done, of course, I'm going to have little feet on it, and that'll elevate it, and that'll also help the heat pad from getting too hot, because you don't ever want to trap a heat pad. But these notches are cut about 1/4 inch down and then out. So it leaves that little lip in there. We just kind of chiseled that out. We cut the main hole out. Then we cut a little bit down in the wood and we just chiseled all that out. Okay, so the tile fits down in the hole. It is just a little bit raised. We could have worked on it a little more and got it perfectly level. Although that's not really necessary because there's going to be eco-earth on the bottom anyway. And so it'll be alright. I'll just put a little extra eco-earth on that side and it will be level for the snakes. And they'll have a nice hot area they can lay on. That's an 18-inch square there. It doesn't quite cover half of the floor. And that's about what you want. You either want to heat a third to up to a half of your cage, but never any more than that, because your snake has to be able to get away. Of course, the heat panel that I'm putting on the bottom is not quite 18 inches big. So I'll put it directly in the middle, and it will kind of heat the whole stone. But I'm going to actually silicone the stone into place, so it doesn't come out, doesn't move or anything. It will be affixed to the bottom. But that's how I'm going to heat the bottom of the cage using plywood and one piece of tile, and make it a little safer. Okay, I'm not going to glue it in here. Again, I'll specify that. But I cut my piece of vinyl, and a lot of people are going to be confused on how to put glue on this, because this does want to curl up after you pull it out of the roll until it sets for a while. So you can't really tape it down because you need to put glue over the entire surface. So what you can do is, I've already done that side, and that's going to be the inside under there. I know you might not be able to see that. But it's going to use it's just going to be my prop right now. I'm not going to put this on the outside of this piece for real. It's just going to sit there for a few minutes. And what I'm doing is I'm spreading it out and putting a tiny thumbtack, not all the way in, just enough to hold it. But you have to do it very, very close to the edge, where you're going to be sure where the silicone is, or that little tiny hole will show. It might not bother you, but it would drive me crazy. But after it's siliconed up, you'll never see it. So that's one way. You just tack down each corner, and then that way it'll be in place, and you can put your glue on it, and you'll be able to get glue all the way around the edge, all under the thumbtack and everything. And then it's really easy to work with. Okay, I know the picture quality is not very good, but I'm in the garage, and I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on. I've got the glue open. This stuff is awful yucky looking, slimy, goopy, you know, and you want to use an old paintbrush, because after you're done with this job, you throw it away. There's no reusing it. So, you just spread your glue on, just like that. It's very easy. And the most important thing is to get around the edges really good. And I'm in the garage now, so everybody's safe. And I have the garage door open, and you might be able to hear it raining because it's pouring down rain. I've done almost all the edges really good. Of course, you have to do the whole thing, but the edges is definitely sometimes easy to miss just a little bit, and you want to make sure you don't miss any of the edges, because that's what's going to keep your paper from peeling up, or your pieces of vinyl. It's really not paper, but you know, it's like vinyl thin sheeting. And as long as you have 99.9% of the rest of it, you'll be alright. It doesn't really show up that good on just plain wood, but you can kind of see where it gets a little darker. But it dries pretty quickly. But even though after it dries in 5 minutes it might look dry, but you need to let it set the 15 to 20 minutes. If it's super, super hot, you could probably do it closer to 15 minutes. But since it's humid outside and I have the door open, I've been letting it sit about 20 minutes. But we've almost got this piece covered. Yeah. And you don't want to just pile it on and waste it, you know. One good layer is pretty good. And this stuff smells awful, just like gasoline or something. If you start to enjoy it, leave the room because you've had too much. It's actually flammable too, so don't be smoking cigarettes for those of you that are definitely over 18 that smoke, and if you're under 18 and smoke, I don't need to know about that, do I? But definitely be careful and remember that. You don't want to be smoking a cigarette while you're painting with this stuff, or you might just explode. I don't want to see you on the next episode of 1,000 Ways to Die. And that little spooky guy will say, they should have watched Cute Gay Jason's video, and then they'd still be here. Okay, so you can see the room is actually getting messier. All those little strips you see is where I cut the paper just a little bit bigger than I needed, so I wouldn't have any spaces that were not covered. I put the vinyl on it and turned it upside down, and I trimmed off the extra. That's what it looks like with the tile in place. It's not been siliconed in yet. That's what I'm going to do last, but this is what the floor of the cage will look like without the eco earth on top of it. Okay, here's the bottom again with the tile taken back out. This one had a little bit of damage in the corner where there wasn't very much wood just in the very corner, and it's going to be the very back of the cage. So it's not going to matter a lot, but just to make it look smooth when I paint it, I went ahead and filled it in with putty. I might put just a little bit more on it, and you can sand it down and it will look perfect. So it's very easy fix, just a little dab of putty in any crevices that, you know, might show, and very easy to fix. Well, here's the first 3 walls together. We're about to put on the top wall, but it's not hard at all. There's 5 screws in the back on each corner there. So here's the cage with the roof, which is on the bottom right now, and the side walls. It's starting to look like a little bathtub. But you can see in all the corners, all the vinyl stripping lines up. And after it's siliconed, it'll be completely waterproof. So here's the cage so far. The tile's not glued down and it's not been siliconed, but this is the cage. Okay, this is actually going to be the tracks for the sliding glass. I bought this piece of vinyl. It was 8 feet long. It's just like vinyl door trim or garage trim. But you can buy just vinyl, and it's completely waterproof and everything. And just take a table saw and cut your little notches in it for your glass. And it's cheaper and easier than ordering tracks from a glass company. And they're going to be a lot more sturdy than the little tiny flimsy pieces of plastic you can get. And it only costs about $10 to make the 4-foot track. Okay, so there's the light, of course, and I've been caulking the seams. Very easy, but it does finish the waterproofing. Okay, here's the tracks. They're put into place. So it's starting to look like a cage now. Of course, it's still upside down, but okay, it's starting to look like a tank now. It is all siliconed in all the corners, and the tile has been siliconed in. And this here is the support beam for the very middle in the front. I went ahead and put the leaf-like wallpaper around it because I'm going to put some background paper back there, and it's just easier to go ahead and put it on that piece. The cage is painted. Got to finish just a little bit of the framework on the front. The cage is painted pink for Valentine and Venus. Okay, it's getting exciting now. I'm about to trim the acrylic doors to fit. And you want to double and triple check your measurements. Definitely. You don't want to have, even if you have somebody else cut it, you don't want to order the wrong size. And you have to think a little bit when you're doing this, of course. So what I usually do is I take a nail, put it down in the little sliding glass track for the bottom. I pinch it when it's level to my fingers. I hold it in place. And the little bit that it goes down is actually 3/8 of an inch. Okay? That's the bottom. Your bottom's always going to be more shallow. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the top, except the top is double that, and it is actually 6/8, which is 3/4 of an inch. And you can see there's a lot more nail. But when you order your glass or you cut your glass, you don't add the entire top depth and the bottom depth. You take half of the depth for the top, which is the 3/8, so about like that, and the 3/8 from the bottom. So a total of 3/4 of an inch. That is the extra that you want to allow between the gap. You just measure from the top of the track all the way to the bottom, okay? And then you add your 3/4 on extra. So I have 11 inches between here and here. So I'm going to cut my glass 11 3/4 inches tall. And before you order it, before you cut it, get a piece of cardboard, okay? And cut it that height. And let's see how it works. You slide it up in the track. And it's about perfect. See, it's barely touching it. And I'm going to put this in the back track. Yeah, cardboard is not so easy to work with. Okay. But see, it wiggles, but the snake behind it can't push it out. So this is exactly the size I need for the sliding doors to work. And of course, they'll work much better when they're not made out of cardboard. Okay, it's a big moment. I've got one door done. It's actually on this side of the cage. That's how clean the acrylic is. And it kind of ends right here. You can see that. But it fits really good. It was actually just a teeny tiny bit tight. But I put it in and it slides back and forth very easily. Okay, so here's the cage with no snakes in it right now. But both the doors are in. I'm going to get a sliding glass lock or something because the doors open pretty easily. The background paper doesn't go all the way up like I really wanted. But I went to the pet shop yesterday and they were out of the taller wallpaper, so I just went ahead and got that one so they could have some kind of background. Probably change it out in a few weeks. But I got like all that wallpaper in the back, and this tank's 4 feet long, 20 inches wide. I got all that paper for like $4, so it's pretty cheap to put in a background. I got all the trim on in the front. So everything looks nice. Okay, this is the finished cage for Valentine and Venus, my Brazilian rainbow boas. Turned out really nice. I'm very happy with it. I didn't go with the vent that I was planning on. Instead, I drilled all these little holes in the sliding glass doors all the way across the front of the cage. And I'm going to keep a check on it. If I think it needs a little more ventilation, I'll add a row of holes at the bottom of the doors too. But I think it'll be alright. I think this is just the right amount. And plus there's a little bit of a gap here, about 1/8 of an inch. And that's also going to let some air go into the cage. This is a little sliding door lock. You can buy these at Home Depot for like $5. And it's a really great way to make sure your snakes don't escape. Makes it very cool to use the sliding glass doors. I just leave the key in mine because nobody's in my reptile room much except for me. You just turn it the right way and take this off. I'll just set it up here for now. And the doors move very easily. But there's a hot box. It's pretty good size. There's my hand. Little tiny fake flower. There's the wallpaper. Actually, I was kind of bummed out when I first got the wallpaper because it wasn't super tall. But I kind of like it now because I think it kind of lets some light in. A little bit of light over here. Got the fake ivy plant there to kind of block their hide box because they do like to hide in little dark areas. And of course you know about the pole in the middle. It's just really there for support. I put paper on it to make it not look like an eyesore. But I got all the trim work on the front of the cage, and it's painted. It's pink. It's kind of looking lilac or lavender because we're like right under this great big bulb, and it kind of brightens it up too much there. But that is kind of a hot pink color for them. course, you can only ever see the top and the bottom edge there. Really. Here's a water bowl there. That's a 6-quart tub for them. Put a little ivy around it. And, of course, there's my fluorescent light. It's very, very securely mounted to the ceiling. There's no way it's going to fall in the water bowl. It's got screws in it. It's got some silicone in it just for added backup. So it's very, very, very secure. And that's about it. You can't see the tile anymore, but it's under the Eco Earth, and the heat pad is attached to it. It's been turned on for about an hour. It feels pretty nice and warm here. I'm sure they'll love that. But the cage is ready for the snakes. It's aired out really, really good. The walls have aired out for a couple days where I used the cement to put the vinyl on. And the silicone is aired out for 24 hours now. So it's safe to put the snakes in there. But I just really love this cage. And I plan on building several more similar to this. My projects that I want to do, of course, is to finish the other Burmese python cage. I want to make a Phantom his own cage, similar in size, maybe a little smaller, maybe not quite as tall because he's just one snake. And eventually I'm going to make a cage similar for my male Brazilian rainbow boa. And probably for the bloods. I really like this cage size. I think it's very awesome, and they're going to be really easy to stack. And I just really am very, very happy with the way this turned out. Now, yeah, you can order a cage online for maybe just a few more dollars than what I paid. But to me, to have it personalized exactly the way you want it, and to know that you created it from scratch, just makes it awesome.